Okay, we move on to the next one, and it was good to at least we got a day off and 2 days to get ready for what is really a good Maryland team. They have what's really interesting about them is that they're extremely young, but their bodies aren't young, and their play is not young, and it reminds me a little bit of the class that we had back in 12-13 of just really 3 or 4 freshmen that are really has been able to, whether it was through prep school or by their DNA, their bodies are ready, their minds are ready, and they've really done a great job of plugging the holes they've had because they've had some pro attrition as well. So we were fortunate enough to beat them here at the buzzer last year, and then we played so well at Maryland. It's a far different team. We're a different team, but it's those top tier teams. We're going to see this all the way through the rest of our schedule, and it's going to be very much like the Wisconsin game, or we're going to have to find a way to win it in the end.
John, for freshmen, like particularly Iggy, who are like going when they face a game like this, maybe they and especially going through the stretch that he's kind of not been performing as well as he has, like how do you keep them grounded?
Well, I think he actually played really well. I mean, he's just a week ago he had a great game against Rutgers, so I don't see a downtrend. I just see some days you can't score 20 every night. So everybody, when you have your young guys, old guys, we're all young, right? You just got to continue. Okay, and then the next foot in front of the other, right? We got another day to get better, and all of a sudden the game's on you, and okay, let's go play. And history is history, and the future is something that's not even relative either. It's just let's see today and see what we can do to get better. That's basically how you keep them grounded.
Jay?
John, when you look at Maryland, I think Bruno Fernando has 7 double-doubles in a row, and then Smith is also a big man who can get out to the perimeter. So just when you see them on film, what are you telling guys like John and Isaiah and Iggy even about how they're going to have to chase these guys around the floor if you guys are going to win?
Yeah, it seems like, and we saw this with Stevens the other day, the league is just loaded with really good big men this year that whether it's Hap, then it's Stevens, now it's these 2 guys. And it's just, it's difficult, and everybody's a little bit different. And between John and Isaiah and Iggy and Brandon and anybody else we could put in there, these 2 guys not only are really skilled offensively, they're good passers. And to double them, some people are doubling them a lot. Sometimes it's worked, sometimes it hasn't. When Cowan will take a lot of shots, he's a really good player. Ayala will do the same. And you think you got to stop, but they're all over. They're getting 5 offensive rebounds a game between just the 2, the 4, and the 5 man. So those are big numbers. And so there's a lot of things to do, but it's not something we haven't seen, but I'm just telling you, this team has a chance. This team, I don't know what their schedule looks like forward. They have a chance to win the Big Ten championship with 6 games to go. Maryland can win it.
Chris?
Coach, is there anything you can share about your conversation with the Big Ten about the technicals?
I share with you. I have had several conversations via text, via phone, whatever, and I'm pretty confident that I think I did think about it. It was like 1981. I don't think we'll. So if it was 37 years ago, I think we'll have to wait another 37 years before you see that. Hopefully, you have to wait a couple years before you see another technical, let alone that. But there's a lot of surprise and to the whole deal, and what happened, and it's unfortunate.
And you can't share what their reaction was with you?
No.
Okay.
I could.
Great. But you won't?
But I'm not. There's nothing.
Understood.
Just let it go, and hopefully everybody learns a lot from it.
Thanks.
Orion?
John, I'm curious if you saw any similarities between Tuesday's loss and 2023.
No, because we led the whole game in 13. I mean, we were up by 13. 13 with 8 to go, if you check that. And no. I see similarities between this and the Iowa loss this year. A short prep, a road game, and they just came out and punched us right in the mouth, and we didn't have much to answer early, and then it got worse as the half went on. Early foul trouble again. So that's where the similarities were. This team, if you look at its ratings and all those things that for what they mean, what the computer says, this is a far different team from that 0-13 team.
I talked to a couple guys on that team. They said that loss sort of locked them in the rest of the way.
Yeah.
I feel like the one Tuesday could have a similar effect.
Yeah, it could. It could. That's the hope. I know that we were very profound observations yesterday about some of the things that we could have controlled. I think this time we found 28 points that we could have just changed with one different decision. And so as a result, when they see that in a 6-point loss, it's a pretty compelling argument that we could have, it wasn't just a bad day, we could have controlled that bad day better.
Right in front with Ryan.
John, you mentioned earlier, like Fernando and the rest of the bigs
Mm-hmm.
on Maryland's like ability to really punch it in on the offensive glass. What do you guys have to do to sort of?
Well, it's punching it in and then do what Stevens did with his bully the ball in. Just, with, you can see that, I think they only had 6 or 7 assists in the whole game. And so he can just go and just like keep pushing into you and pushing into you and pushing into you until he's right at the basket. We got to do a better job of holding that guard. But then, they're going to punch it to him, right, in different situations. And then, just like they do with Hap a great deal. And we got to be able to defend that. Where they didn't punch it to Stevens one time, he punched us just by dribble downs. And so there's a whole different game continues to evolve. And he, as Fernando, Smith is good. Smith is so dangerous off the boards. But Fernando's just a really good block player, and you don't see that a lot these days. It's straight power, too. It's straight power. Rogers Malone.
Right with Andrew.
As far as the call with the Big Ten office, I guess what was your intention in calling them? What was the purpose?
To give my side of the story and just basically give an interpretation of how things got out of control so quickly, right, and why, right, and then just have them make sure they look at the film, right, and so that everybody is educated in that, not just the coaches, and I trust we do that. I think we educate our officials and we work at that to say this should be a call, this shouldn't be a call. There's going to be missed calls. There's going to be missed calls. But if there's egregious ones, right, then they have to be addressed in a different manner. But the coaches, the coaches always have to answer this. The officials don't, and that's a difficult thing. But the officials are doing the best they can.
And then Mo and Mohammed Duncan are back.
Yeah, they're back. Yeah, All-Star weekend. That's a good thing when you got guys who are just with us and so much. But they were both at practice yesterday. They had a good workout in today. They were in Camp Sanderson last time I saw. So that means they're excited about their pro career and taking these off days to get better.
Down here with Craig.
Could you say, in your opinion, whether the tossing was justified? Or I understand if you don't want to say that, but I mean,
Yeah, I don't want to say that.
Okay. Secondly, you broke the press pretty routinely, but it left the clock shortened quite a bit. I wonder if there was if you're rethinking that, or whether the team just took too much of a breath when it got into the front court.
Yeah, it's against Penn State because they have two of the top two steel guys in the country, both Wheeler and number 23, Reeves are like outstanding steel guys. So just when you just say, the heck with this press, we're just going to dribble right through it, they're going to get you. But no, we should have played at a higher tempo. We should have attacked better. There's this 5-minute gap that happens sometimes, and particularly certain players. After we beat the press, there's a 5-second gap, rather, that we do nothing. And that's what really hurts you, because you should be able to attack during that time and get into stuff earlier. So that was a big reason why we weren't as effective offensively. We still got in the 60s, but it was that bothers at Iowa as well. And so it's things that we got to continue to work at.
Thanks.
James.
John, I guess when you mentioned you contacted the Big Ten office, is it the director of officials you're talking to?
Yeah, Rick Boyages, yes.
Okay. And then you mentioned on the radio show that you were going to hand out grades to players.
Yeah, what we're doing right now is we're rating that we're letting them rate themselves in everything. What's really important right now in this part of the year is what you've been through. 80-some practices. You've been through all these games. You've had, the late night check-in. You've got game day rep, pre-game rep. How are you handling all those things? Don't let it slip now. how are you rating yourself in your focus and film? How are you rating yourself in your eating on off days? All these type of things that all our teams have all sort of done. Let's do all the right things now as we get closer to March so that we can be a good team in March. And you just can't turn it around. So you say, well, why wasn't he, we didn't hustle enough. Well, maybe the guy is on the phone till 3 a.m. in the morning with his girlfriend, right? And he's tired, right? So maybe that's why he didn't hustle enough. So we're asking them to look inside themselves a little bit. I don't have any reason to suspect any of this. But rather than saying, you're not playing hard enough, or maybe he hasn't eaten breakfast in a week, and we can't check all those things. So we're getting them to sort of grade themselves. And like if a couple of our guys say, man, I give it 100% every day in practice, and we don't see that, then we have to have a talk. But if they say, if they're honest with us, then we know they're honest with them, and they're identifying their blind spots.
I think you said this is the first time you've done that?
I've done it a few times before. I remember I've taken Jay Billis' toughness article, which is a tremendous article, and have everybody rate it themselves. And there were some really interesting things, right? The guy hasn't taken a charge all year is saying, giving himself a grade for taking charges. A good grade. So there's interesting thing. What they're thinking is happening and what we're thinking, particularly with the young guys.
Is there any enlightening ratings you can maybe share?
I haven't seen them yet. We gave them to them yesterday, and they're turning them in today, and then we'll sort of look at it. But I won't be telling you the ratings anymore.
Brendan?
I'm curious, so with the call aside, the ejection side, all that.
We're not letting this drop, are we?
I'm curious.
Must have been a monumental event.
It was.
Well, it's the once in 40 years.
Yeah, Dodge's been 30, 37, 38.
37.
Don't embellish it.
I'm not doing that, but I'm curious when you went back and just all that stuff aside, how you handled it, how you reacted in that moment. Just have you got any hindsight on it? Like, are you okay with how you handled that situation?
No, I think there is that when I receive a technical, that's when it's probably most dangerous, because when I feel if I receive a technical, I want to know why right away, and then probably my mother's Irish side comes out of me a little bit, because I try to avoid those like the plague of getting a technical, and so that's I got to be better than that. I got to be better than officials. And I pride myself in doing that, but I wasn't.
And from the two previous losses, obviously the one after 17-0 was unique because of the circumstance, and then the second one, for this one, see anything different out of these guys and just how they carried themselves or handled themselves afterwards?
They were really upset in the locker room. Because I was in the other locker room and I heard them all come in. Usually I'm coming in, they were already in there. And they were already in there because I was in the other locker room watching it on TV, and I could hear them, addressing it. And that was actually a good thing to hear.
Sean?
John, you mentioned the points that, when you were looking at the film, I guess Penn State, the decision making, I guess, that might have led to the 28 points. And just thinking in terms of the offense this year, you had a couple of years ago, you were looking for a different kind of compete level, I think maybe the phrase you've used before. What's more challenging, trying to find that, or changing the decision making and looking for a little bit more offensive efficiency?
What is in contrast to
in other words,
offense?
You're looking
the
for
edge on defense or the offense?
You mentioned the decision making at Penn State and to try to find points, and just looking for more offensive efficiency period this year.
Yeah.
In the past, you've had that, but maybe not the. I don't want to use the word grip, but you use the word compete level.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. What's harder to find at this point in the season?
I think we had a couple of times in that game where our lack of offense did affect our defense. Like spot on. We came down and all of a sudden it was like la la land. So that's disappointing for us at this point of the year, but it's understandable because you're not being successful on offense, it will carry over. I think, for us, offensively efficiency, it is no secret. This is not like one of our better teams with offensive efficiency. It starts with our fast break, without question. And then we have certain players on our team have certain set of skill sets, and they're average in some other skill sets. And that trying to put the puzzle together in 30 seconds to, somehow contrast that so that we can get the most out of this team is an interesting dilemma for us. That's a long way of saying that, but we just got to continue to find other, while we work to improve certain areas, right? We also got to work to improve how not to get exposed in the areas that we're still working on. That was complicated, but I hope you keep getting it.
Zach?
What makes Cowan such a tough matchup? He had a couple good games against you guys last year.
Yeah, he's just so good in the open court in the ball screen that he's a kid that can shoot it, right? He takes to the basket, he draws fouls. So that's really, and he's always, they've had some pretty good guys around him as well. But he's just really exceptionally, he's explosive, quick. Going left, he might be as good as anybody we've seen as far as just going left hard. So he's just got a great skill set to him, and he's been 3 years in this league now, and you know, he's really just become an exceptional player. But his speed is and they're a downhill team, right? His speed is incredible.
And then on Tuesday, I think you said your team looked tired. Is that, you think that was unique to Tuesday, or are you modifying how your workload?
Well, yeah, I mean, anytime you have to be careful when you travel and you have only a day and a half prep. To get, I say half a day because we can't go hard the day after a game with the great wind, you know, that we had over Wisconsin. We couldn't go hard, and so we're watching film and we're walking through stuff, and then you go after it. So you're trying to be on that, but I don't think being tired was a factor. I think that it was more mental than anything in that game.
Steve, you want to close this out?
Yeah, we talk a lot about your player development, but I'm actually kind of curious about your coaching development, because I'm just curious, do you sort of practice what would happen if you weren't able to coach the game? I mean, are there drills like that where the assistant coaches are just told to do it?
Yeah, it's a good question. Yeah, we give, I like to watch when we're scrimmaging in practice. I rarely take a team. Yeah, Dre's got a team, Sadi's got a team, and Luke watches the defense, and then I watch everything. So they're actually coaching a team several times, probably several times a week in practice, right? And then there's they do work with their guys individually. There's a lot of delegation in practice, so they do get those things. So it is. I think they're prepared to do that. I thought Sadi did a great job.
And the other question I have is, can you just tell me? I don't know if you've actually said this yet, but what was the first thing you said to your players after you were ejected?
I think I apologized to them. I said I'm sorry about that because I knew there'd be foul shots coming up, and that we couldn't use it. We couldn't do that. But I think that they also, you know, understood that this doesn't happen very often. It's unique. It's not a recurring problem, and that I may have been doing something that maybe might help